Good morning, it's Tony from Street Church Ministries, The Inside Job, and you're watching our podcast, The Inside Job Podcast. Thanks for hopping on board, everybody who is listening to this podcast now. Hope it's not a waste of your time. Hope it's not a waste of my time. Time is the most valuable thing that you have and that I have because when it's over, it's over. When it's a wrap, it's a wrap. You know, until they figure out a way to manufacture, produce, or grow time, or print time, it will always be the most valuable thing we have, right? So I'm not interested in wasting my time or your time. So I really hope that this podcast helps to take your life on a northern trajectory and, you know, just makes your life a little bit better, right? So with that being said, we're going to jump right into this podcast. We're going to do a 2-week series today. This is week number 1, obviously, and it's called Listen to the Punctuation Mark. Yeah, that's right. You heard me right. Listen to the punctuation mark. You're probably saying, this guy's off his rocker. What's he talking about? Trust me. Well, I hope it's going to go somewhere. Okay, my eldest child, my wonderful daughter Angelica, is a 7th grade English teacher. So she'll be happy and proud of her old man that he is doing a podcast series on grammar and on punctuation marks. Listen to the punctuation mark. So a long time ago, so I've been doing ministry in Trenton on the streets, you know, inner city, gritty, grimy, raw ministry on the streets of Trenton and Philadelphia for years. And obviously, you know, I see people and I know people, I meet people, I minister to people who are living tough lives and you know, and they're in the middle of large messes, habits and you know, hang-ups, emotional illness, mental health issues, chronic poverty, just all sorts of issues, right, that they are saddled with. So it's difficult at times to maintain my ability to continue to care for people and, you know, and to love people who are in that situation. So I remember once a while back, somebody asked me what motivates me to continue to just plug away, right? And to care for people and to love people in the middle of their messes. And that's what this series is, you know, all about. It's about sharing some insights and some principles and some things that help me to maintain, that help to motivate me to continue to care for people in a way that's not contingent upon how they respond to it, right? So yeah, so week number 1 is called Listen to the Comma. So we're going to look at the comma and we're going to try to listen and try to learn from the comma to see what it has to tell us that'll help us, that'll help us to continue to maintain and that will motivate us to love people in the middle of their messes who are, you know, are the marginalized in this world. And yeah, so here we go. So I'm going to read a particular Bible verse. If you are a church-going person or not, you're going to know this verse, right? Because it's you know, it's one of the top 10 most popular verses in the New Testament probably. So you don't need to be a church-going person to know it. You probably know it. So it's in John chapter 10 and verse number 10. It's when Jesus says this. He says, "The thief comes only to steal, kill, and to destroy. But I have come so that they may have life, comma, and have it to the full." I have come that they may have life, comma, and have it to the full. So obviously the whole point I'm trying to accentuate here is that in the middle of the word life and end, there is a comma. So commas, you know, in a grammatical sense, are meant to cause us to pause. They're meant to create a separation and a pause. So, so if I listen into the comma here and if I pause, what can it tell me and you? For me, it tells me this if I pause at the comma. That on one side of the comma, there is, I have come that you may have life. Okay, that's great. It's good to live. I enjoy breathing. I enjoy a good burger. I enjoy a good walk on the beach. I have come that you may have life. And on the other side of the comma, that you may have life to the full. Okay? So on one side of the comma, it says, I have come that you may exist and live. And on the other side of the comma, it says, I have come that you may live life to the full. Have an abundant, full life. So it's a different kind of a life. So what that tells me is this. There are two camps of human beings in this world. There are those who are merely existing, and then there are those who are living the life that they were created to live. A fullness of meaning, a fullness of satisfaction, a fullness of significance and purpose. That's what it tells me. There are people who are living and existing, and then there are people who are in the process of becoming the people that they were created to be and experiencing satisfaction and meaning and purpose on a whole different level. That's number one. Number two, it tells me this, that this life, that this fullness of life that comes with satisfaction and purpose and meaning and value and significance comes from Jesus. He is the source. I have come that you may have this. He's the provider of it. He's the giver of it. He ushers it into our lives. He's the source of it. That's another thing it tells me. So how does that motivate me? How does that motivate me to continue to love people who are not getting that, who are living in a different way, who are not becoming the people that God created to be, but that are in the quicksand of their own bad habits and choices and living lives that do not create the best version of them, right? It helps me to realize this, that even though they are living on the left side of the comma and just merely, existing, that they were created to live on the right side of the comma. That ultimately they were all brought into existence to live on the other side of the comma and to experience this fullness of life that's chock full of satisfaction and significance and meaning. So I work with addicts all the time. I work with people who, alcohol, drugs, and I work with people who have been sober for years. Like I know people who have been involved in AA, and AA does wonderful things, right? And I know people who have been involved in AA for years, and they're dry. And that's great. But they're miserable, and they're angry, and they're full of, unforgiveness. And they're miserable, angry people. But yet they're dry, and they're sober, and that's always good. But they're not experiencing this fullness of life, this abundant life that they were created to, right? Because they're just focused on one thing, on just becoming clean. We were created for something far greater, far greater. We were not created for just mere existence. We were created to live a fullness of life that could only come from knowing Jesus and living for him. I'm going to go, that's my story, and I'm going to go down swinging. So that helps to motivate me, just knowing that all the people who I know, who I come across, who I see living on the wrong side of the comma, they, like me and you, were created to live on this other side of the comma. And that continues to rev my engines and to keep me going. So listen to the comma and pause. So that's week number 1. Week number 2, one of my favorite punctuation marks we're going to be talking about, and I can't wait. So until then, have a great week.